Just picture this for a second. What exactly happens when you combine a massive expansion to 48 teams, a staggering $727 million prize pool, and a literal statistical masterclass in underdog victories? Well, you get the most unpredictable, chaotic, and thrilling tournament in football history. Today, we're going to use the data and the history to show you exactly how this massive global spectacle unfolded. So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the emotion on the pitch. Then, we'll break down the sheer scale of the event. And finally, we'll dig into the science of the upset. All right, part 1, the emotion on the pitch. Let's dive right in. Before we get buried in the spreadsheets, we absolutely have to talk about the human element that defined this tournament. Think about the recent changing of the guard. France took the crown in 2018, Argentina in 2022, and now, in 2026, Spain has climbed all the way back to the absolute summit of world football. This marks Spain's second World Cup title, which is their first since that maiden victory way back in 2010. And how they did it was nothing short of legendary. Spain defeated the defending champions Argentina 1-0 in this grueling extra-time final at MetLife Stadium. The breakthrough finally came from substitute Ferran Torres, who scored a dramatic 106-minute winning volley off a Nico Williams header. But here's the wild part. They held a team led by Lionel Messi to 0 shots on target across the initial 90 minutes. 0. After Argentina's Enzo Fernandez was sent off in stoppage time, Spain finally pushed past Emiliano Martinez, who, by the way, had already made a brilliant 11 saves. Defensively, Spain conceded just one single goal in their entire 8-match run. That is a brand new World Cup record. Of course, 2026 also marked the end of an era. We really saw the bittersweet farewells of our generation's two greatest legends. You had a 39-year-old Lionel Messi, who secured the silver ball and silver boot with 8 goals and 4 assists, only to suffer heartbreak in extra time of his third World Cup final. And then a 41-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, competing in a record 6 World Cup, making a super emotional exit in the round of 32. Both confirmed this was their final campaign on football's biggest international stage, which was just a heavy moment for fans everywhere. But this World Cup also transcended the sport entirely with some unforgettable cultural firsts. Norway gave us the viral moment of the tournament with their Viking row, this highly coordinated pitch celebration led by Martin Odegaard. It paid tribute to their heritage, and honestly, fans immediately started copying it worldwide. It spread like wildfire. We also saw FIFA introduce the first ever official 11-minute halftime show during the final. It was curated by Chris Martin and brought Coldplay, Shakira, BTS, and more right to the center of the pitch. It really turned the final into an unprecedented global entertainment spectacle. Okay, moving on to Section 2, the scale of the event. Let's talk business. The 48-team, 12-group format completely changed the financial landscape of the game. Just think about this number for a second. $727 million. The FIFA Council approved this record-breaking financial distribution, which is a massive 50% increase from the 2022 tournament in Qatar. The wealth generated here was just on a whole other level. So, where does all that money actually go? Well, Spain walked away with $50 million as champions. Argentina took $33 million. But the most important part of this financial breakdown is the baseline. Every single participating member association received a guaranteed minimum payout of $10.5 million just for qualifying, which includes $1.5 million specifically for preparation costs. For smaller federations, that guaranteed money is absolutely life-changing. And it's not just about the elite teams padding their wallets. It's about the future of the sport. FIFA is reinvesting this wealth globally. They're launching these new grassroots under-15 festival-style tournaments for boys starting in 2026 and girls in 2027. They also approved the establishment of a post-conflict recovery fund. This creates a real support mechanism for regions that have experienced conflict. It's a massive deployment of capital aimed at both long-term development and global unity. Which brings us to our final part, Section 3, the science of the upset. With 48 teams in the mix, we saw absolute chaos in the group stages and knockouts. But before we get totally bogged down in the metrics, let's anchor this in the incredible human stories. Cabo Verde, an archipelago of just 530,000 people, became the smallest nation ever to reach the knockout stages. They famously dragged Argentina to extra time in the round of 32. Meanwhile, Paraguay delivered a historic shock by eliminating 4-time champions Germany on penalties. And get this, they survived a match where Germany completed over 700 passes. No way, right? So, to understand how these underdogs pull this off, researchers look at a specific metric called expected goals, or XG. Basically, this quantifies the quality of goal scoring chances. In a fascinating academic study of 30 massive upsets at the World Cup, researchers actually classified a match as an upset if the team with the lower expected goals emerged victorious. Now, when you break down the statistical differences between underdog winners and the stronger teams they beat, it visually flips our assumptions about winning football upside down. The data shows that the underdog winners actually had drastically lower possession, much lower passing accuracy, and fewer overall touches than the teams they defeated. But on the flip side, the underdogs had significantly more clearances and goal kicks. Honestly, this shatters a massive football myth. We so often think that dominating the ball equals victory, but the reality, the data proves that underdogs win precisely because they purposefully surrender possession. They let the stronger team hold the ball while they rely on extreme defensive discipline, just waiting for that one perfect moment to strike. And you can see exactly how all these different statistics interact. When researchers map out a correlation matrix of the match metrics, you see clear patterns. You have positive correlations, stats that move together, like a strong link between goal difference and shots on target. But then you have negative correlations, like the relationship between clearances and possession. Defensive teams focus heavily on clearing the ball, which inherently means they aren't holding possession. The data literally maps out how these distinct styles of play connect directly to match outcomes. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. So, the crucial point here is that there is a highly specific, totally repeatable underdog winning formula. Teams like Cabo Verde, Morocco, and Paraguay survived the chaos by maintaining extreme defensive organization. They relied on clearances and tackles, they utilized a highly direct counterattacking style with long balls, and above all else, they capitalized incredibly efficiently on their very limited shots on target. They didn't need the ball, they just needed to be ruthless when they finally got it. The academic research highlights a quote that I think perfectly captures this whole phenomenon. Outstanding upsets serve as powerful reminders that in soccer, anything is possible. Behind all the advanced metrics, the correlation matrices, and the expected goals lies the unpredictable, just raw beauty of the beautiful game. Which leaves us with this final thought. Now that the data behind the perfect upset has basically been cracked, and with smaller nations receiving life-changing financial incentives to develop their programs, the gap between the heavyweights and the underdogs is only going to close. So what new underdog fairy tales await us in 2030? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep questioning the data, keep enjoying the game, and I'll catch you